thought I would make this tutorial on using the ATEM Mini for those of you who really are interested in having GoPro views in your operatory in the hopes that this simplifies it. I've made a list here of all you need to do to start. And my idea was what I think you should do is you create what I call a test bed. Uh, I have a test bed here in my kitchen at home. You create a test bed somewhere where you have some room and you have all the equipment that you're going to use. And you don't worry about the length of the wires or anything. You get everything together in one place and you wire it up and you make sure everything works before you go to your operatory and try to hook everything up. Because it can be very frustrating, very expensive, very time consuming if you try to do this without doing a test bed first. So I'm going to go through the test bed. I'm going to kind of give you an overview of how this works, and then we're going to get into the specific for all the different kinds of connectors and cameras that you use and how it works with this ATEM Mini Pro switcher. So what is it that you need in your test bed? Okay, you need a small HDMI monitor, and this comes from the list. So use the list as a checkoff list to make sure you have everything in place. You need an HDMI monitor. You need a notebook computer that has the ATEM software put on it and DaVinci Resolve and the drivers for your microscope camera. I'm using a Canon 6D here. Whatever microscope camera you use, you'll need the drivers for it. You need your ATEM Mini Pro, and you need your 2, 3, 4, or however many GoPros you're going to have around the operatory. I have 2 here that are connected into the switcher. And how the switcher works is this switcher, and it's called a switcher because it switches inputs from one to the other. I have an impulse from GoPro 1, from GoPro 2, from the microscope camera, and from my notebook monitor. Those are the four inputs. In the ATEM Mini Pro, you'll see in looking at the multi-view on the HDMI monitor, it has all of the inputs from camera 1, camera 2, camera 3, and camera 4 showing all at the same time. And the advantage of this SSD that's connected to your Mini Pro is it records all of those inputs simultaneously all the time. So it's very, very powerful because of this ability. And when you go into the ATEM software, you have this list where I'm recording now. You record from all cameras and you turn that on and you press record. So let's give kind of an overview to begin with so you get a sense, and then we'll get into the details. So I'm going to turn GoPro 1 camera on. And one thing about the GoPro camera, you don't need a battery, you don't need a card, you just need the GoPro. And these GoPros stay on. I'm very partial to the GoPro 7 Black. It's much better than future versions, and it's a very, very robust camera. I've had my GoPro 7 Blacks on in my operatory for years. I've never turned them off. They're on constantly. It's a very robust camera. So I'm going to turn GoPro 1 on. Turn the GoPro camera 1 on, and you can see in the preview view, it loads it right here. Now I'm going to turn GoPro 2 on. Now GoPro 2 is on. And now I'm going to turn my microscope camera on. And now you can see the 3 views. And what the ATEM software does, if you look at the ATEM software control, I control these views. So I don't need to physically even touch the ATEM Mini. I go to camera 1, and that's what shows in program. If I go to program and not multi-view, you'll get a better sense of what this is like. So I control the ATEM from my ATEM software control on the computer. I can go from camera 1 to camera 2 to camera 3 to camera 4, which is the input from my computer, my notebook computer. So you control the output of the switcher. The switcher has one HDMI output, which is going to this monitor. And so your assistant can control what views you're seeing, camera 1, camera 2, camera 4. So you control that with software. But remember, you are recording everything from all cameras on your SSD. So if you don't have the right thing selected, you still have access to that. And that's the main reason for the test bed, is that you put everything together and you make sure that you have an understanding of the kinds of connectors that you need to do this. Then when you go to your operatory, you'll know the kind, you can measure the lengths, and you can put it together very simply, having done this test bed.
So let me just do a quick clinical example here of how powerful this is when you actually implement it. So when you bring these images, videos in from the ATEM Mini, they're all synced up automatically. You put them on a timeline, and now you have an overview of what shows in every single camera that you have, and you can mix and match these in any way that you choose, which is especially interesting when you are uh, critiquing yourself or your staff in how you're working ergonomically, to say nothing about presentations to peer groups. So you can incorporate any angle you choose. So that's the advantage of multiple angles and using the ATEM switcher. You switch back and forth between these effortlessly, and it really is powerful.